How we doing? How we doing? This is the All Done podcast. My name is Tracy. That's my boy Mike. What's good with you, Mike?
How you doing, my brother? You doing all right this morning?
I'm elevated. It's a beautiful, beautiful Sunday morning. Thank the Lord for waking me up and allowing me another day to breathe and live life. So what we chopping it up about today, man? What beautiful topic are we covering today on the All Done podcast?
Being on a day like today, what else could we talk about but the versus battle?
Seems to be a trending topic right now.
The trending topic is the versus battle, and I watched some of it. I did. It was more, like that wasn't my, battle. Like, don't get me wrong, I love both artists, but that was a win for the South.
Right, surrounding you, a lot of people were excited.
A lot of people. Oh yeah, that split some hairs right there. That was yeah. I've seen best friends go at it over that so far. So, but like I said, what I wanted to talk about, I didn't want to get into the wins and losses of it, or who won, who. I don't want to.
Nah. Let's put it out. Jeezy, I like Gucci, but let's just. Jeezy, for us, I think, and I'll speak for you in this regard, there's no way Gucci Mane could beat Jeezy to us. Just the way we grew up in music and Jeezy's influence on us, the recession, the TMs. Like, I like Gucci's music. I don't know if he had an impact the way a Jeezy would have on us. Just throwing that out there.
That's true as well. But like I explained to somebody was talking about it. She was like, I can't really explain it. I said, this is what it is. I said, Gucci was that dope man that everybody knew in the hood, like, he that dope man, he doing his thing. Where Jeezy is the drug kingpin. And people got to know that difference. Not saying that's what they're living now, but you got to know the difference. Gucci is what you see, like, oh, that's why I relate to him. But when it comes to somebody like me and you who thinks on a different plane than, that the kingpin, that's what I want to be, where the dude that's moving that weight that you'll never like, nah, he's not doing that. Okay. And he the one that's really orchestrating everything. So when it comes to that aspect of it, I think that's why people relate differently to it. But yeah.
Yeah, that's what we'll start then. Start with because that was like the meme and what everybody was talking about is like Jeezy had some sort of growth while a lot of people thought Gucci didn't really display any type of growth. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but that seemed to be the general consensus. What do you think?
I think if you follow Gucci throughout the last few years, you see the growth in Gucci and how he's changed anyway. But for that night, he had to go into a certain character, a certain mode for his fans. And I'm not mad at that because his fans is his fans. That's his fan base. But because if you look at Jeezy, he went back to a jersey bandana and, that. If you pay attention to Jeezy now as well, like that's not his flow, that's not his vibe anymore.
He went nostalgic on us.
He did.
He brought back that nostalgia for sure.
And one thing I said to some people, if you don't think they talked about what would go on beforehand, you're crazy.
You think they did?
Absolutely. Well, because like Gucci even said, like when you reached out to me, I told you I got to perform the truth.
That's not really are you saying that they had a conversation about like, yo, it might? I think there's a real beef there. Like I
think some of the feelings was authentic. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was trying to say.
Like that was authentic, but I'm saying like people like, oh, I hope security tight. You think they ain't talking about, we not gonna mess up the money? You think that conversation didn't happen?
I don't know if they even needed to have a conversation at this point because at this point, I think in 2020. You could take your hustling most hustler, and I think they have understanding at this point, bro. It's about the bread. Ain't nobody trying to.
Well, to a certain extent, because see, this is when you ask me like, well, what we chopping up about? To a certain extent, because now some people look at it as, oh nah, well, he was so disrespectful, Jesus didn't do nothing, and I would have. You got to understand the money first. One of my favorite stories, I talk about this a lot, and I forgot which interview it was. But I was listening to 50 Cent talk about something him and Jay went through. And
I'm about $1.
They see him backstage, huh?
I'm about $1. What the fuck is 50 Cent?
Not even that line. That's a dope line. But now he said Jay seen him backstage and was on like, yo, I heard what you said. And 50 was like, yo, so what we gonna do? Kill each other? He said Jay-Z kind of looked at him like, and mess up the money? Like, but everybody don't have that mindset.
Yeah.
And that's what's crazy to me. Like, yo.
So you're talking about maybe from an entourage perspective from the two camps, maybe it could have got crazy.
Not even the fans. Not even from the camps. The fans.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why I love when Jeezy was like, yo, like, this is beyond me and you.
Mm-hmm.
He made that clear.
Yeah.
Out here doing stuff for some people, like going hard for people they don't even know.
I mean, there's the segue, right? Because that's my whole thing that I got from this is I don't understand, right? And it goes back to maybe, I don't know if it was an earlier podcast episode, but an earlier discussion we've definitely had is that, like, celebrity culture. I can't imagine. I love Young Jeezy. Now, take it from Young Jeezy. Let's go. I love Hov, like, right? That's our guy. Like, I'm not about to kill nobody. Like, who the Hov beef with over the year? I'm not about to kill or fight nobody because they like Hov trash or Hov wasn't really street. Like, yo, I can't fathom like that being like my go-to. Like, where you said something about, I don't even know that man. Like, how I sound like trying to, and so that part to me has always been like, where are we as a people, like you holding on to something like that hard? I've always wondered that. And no right or wrong or anything like that. It's just something that has always puzzled me personally.
I think it's about how their music speaks to that individual and what they're in their life. So they do feel intertwined and personal with them. I think it becomes like yo, he was talking about me when he did it. So when he said this, and so I feel him. So now when somebody attacks that person, they're attacking the individual too. So when they attack the celebrity, they attack the individual too. And I think some people feel that way. Okay, I think some people just want to fight and argue. Huh? What'd you say?
I can get behind that. I can get behind that ideology that the music speaks to me so deeply that I become one with it. And that's why I take it so personal. Exactly. Is that how I feel? Absolutely not. But I can understand that perspective. That makes sense.
But you know what? It also depends on like who's your favorite artist. Because I'm one of my favorite artists, and I'm sure one of yours too said, "Well, Hov did that, so hopefully you don't have to go through that." So he's letting you know. I'm just explaining what I've been through. There's other ways to it.
Thanks.
You feel me? So now, like I said, I don't knock people because music does so much for most people.
Got me through some tough times.
I was
undoubtedly.
Yeah, so it's just but it shows our state of mind when it comes to our growth, though.
So is there a line?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we are on the same page because I feel like there's a line. Even if I'm a fan that night and Jeezy's like, yo, fuck them. Like, nah, this is like entertainment. This is entertainment, brother. Why don't you just play Seen It All and let me vibe out? Because I'm not. Like, this is not.
I don't know.
This is entertainment.
Partner underground, like play something. Like, and that's why I was wondering. Like, and like I said, I missed some of it. So I wonder if Gucci played certain hits. I know when he played Lemonade, and that was a hit.
He played Truth, right? That's the song that people.
That's the song people talk about.
And he was chatting when he talked it too. He played it and he was chatting on top of it. Like, nah, send your man back to. He had energy for it in that moment.
He had energy for it, but I think that was more so for his fans. Like I said, Jeezy, you know that's coming. If you're Jeezy, y'all had a conversation, y'all had a production talk, y'all had something.
So he told you he was gonna play it.
Yeah, Jeezy knew it was coming, and he knew he had to hype up a certain fan. But like I said, talking to people, like especially where I live in the South, they relate to Jeezy and or Gucci depending on what your vibe is. And I heard one dude was like, yeah, that's why Jeezy didn't do nothing because Gucci had real shooters with him. You think they was gonna do that on live?
Yeah, nah,
millions of people watching, and once again, and mess up the money.
Yeah, that wasn't a fight. Even if it was no money involved, for what, bro? That's 20. We're talking about 20 years. And like I said, I think the beef was authentic, and I think it was real enough where they still have some legitimate feelings there. Yeah. But 15, 20 years later, people ain't worried about it. But the key, and one of the things that I was like, that's interesting, is like when he was bringing up his dead homie or whatever, and we smoking on Pookie Loke, I think was the quote. And I was just like, that's interesting, just to like, I don't care what type of production meeting you had, and growth is real. I just thought that was interesting.
I
I
thought
thought that
it
was
was
right.
disrespectful to a certain extent, but if you listen to some people say, yo, like, that wasn't even really Jeezy's homeboy like that.
No. Hold on. I'm not even talking about like, okay, that's street rap shit. If you know street shit, then yo, shit happens. And that's what cats sign up for when you get into that life. So be clear. If you're going to jump into that life, these are the chances that you take. I'm talking about, so maybe I should explain like this. I seen a meme. There was a brother that I follow on one of these social media applications, and they were like, imagine being Pookie Loke rolling over his damn grave right now. Like, you was loyal to these dudes, and just to have your name like sullied. And so like to a young brother who's like in the life right now, imagine, yo, you could have been Pookie Loke. Nobody's celebrating you. Like, it's a weird, I don't know, it's a weird thing going on there to me.
People don't have that line anymore. When my boy Charlie Murphy say, they habitual line steppers.
Yeah.
Like, there has to be some type of decorum. Like, there's certain things I'm not gonna say in the word fight.
And I'm not even talking about from Gucci's standpoint. I mean, if the story is true, and maybe I got the story wrong, I'm not a street cat. But let's just throw out what I think I understand about what. Apparently, the way I understood is Jeezy sent this young brother to go rob Gucci's crib, and they said he set him up on a dummy mission, and the brother, Gucci, defended himself and put the brother in the ground.
Yeah. That's the story. But like I said, part of the story is that why, like I said, my thing is people talking, well, Jeezy ain't do nothing about his homeboy. Well, part of the story is that wasn't even really his homeboy like that. He just put a hit out on a chain, and he accepted the mission on his own. Like,
yeah, I'm not even.
It's not fair.
Yeah, it's a very weird thing, and that's why I try to stay like in the realm of verses. I don't think the general public needs to like go back and forth about the story or street business. Like, that's my biggest thing. It's like, yo, let's get away from that. Like, yo, two dope artists, they coming together, and that's fire for the culture.
That's what the verses is about. It like, and a lot of people don't, like I said, especially it depends on region. Like, you know, a lot of people not what region, age, there's a lot of factors in it. Like, so a lot of people don't follow Swiss Beats and Timbaland that was into that battle. But now here's the thing about that. If you go on their live after, you know, Swiss and Tim, always, because, you know, that's who started the verses. If people don't know that, it was Swiss and Tim one day. Swiss was in his garage or something. His garage won't work right. He went in his car, and they was going to hit as producers. And they're like, well, we just set somebody up. And it just grew from that during the quarantine time. But if you listen to them right after, they both was like, yo, like, that was amazing to us, the celebration that we had, and, you know, the fact that they came together like that. So one thing people don't look at the verses as, they look at the verse as just that, we competing with each other. No, that's a celebration. Sometimes we got to learn to celebrate each other more. And that's what they're doing the verses as. They're doing it as a celebration for each other. And, you know,
I think that, but here's the caveat. While I agree with everything you just said, and versus being a time where we can celebrate hip hop and Black culture, and that's great. But the essence, I think, with people, there's a fine line, because the essence of hip hop is competitive.
Absolutely.
Right. And so that's where people are like, well, no, the verses is, and I think it's shit. I think there's different spaces for different things.
Yeah.
Right. We have battle rap platforms. We've seen the Meek Mill. Right. There's a place for the competitive edge of hip hop. And I don't, as a fan of hip hop, I don't think that needs to ever go away. What I'm saying is that this platform is a separate entity from the competitive nature of what hip hop is. This platform is, like you said, to celebrate artists and all the great hits and music and the feels and getting, honestly, like we talked about, getting people through some really tough times.
But I want to take that competitiveness, because like you said, that should not be removed from hip hop, that competitive nature.
No, that's necessary.
Now we got to learn what that competitive nature is for and what it should do. Like, us as friends, we compete with certain things, but it's nothing that's going to drive us apart. We compete with each other so we keep getting better.
Facts.
And I think us as a culture, we have to learn to do that. I'm competing with you, but it's not because I dislike you or hate you, but I'm competing with you to push you to be better, and that's going to push me to be better, and we're going to just keep growing and grinding. I'm not competing with you, so next time I see you, I'm going to swing on you. No, that's not what our competition is about, because it's still going to be a respect. I respect what you're doing.
And I think that was the overall, I like to say that a lot of people took that from the, and if it took them two brothers coming together to be able to quote unquote compete and be in the same room with each other, and if it took them to coming together for you to learn that, that's great. I can get on board with that. That's fantastic. Because sometimes it does take if you're a Gucci, you're a Flair fan to the diehard, it takes him being able to do that for you to be like, oh, I can do it too. And I can, okay, fine, I can get behind that.
Because we're losing a lot of young brothers, a lot of young and I'm just talking about music alone, because we're losing brothers on other stuff as well.
It's happening, man. It is happening.
But when it comes to the music industry, we're losing young brothers, and then it's becoming like a popularity thing, like Mo 3 and
I could be more gangster than you, but I think, and again, that and I think that's I want to be clear, because that's a systematic racism talking points, that people of color are in so much competition and they're jealous, and their jealousy drives crime. And nah, bro, systematic oppression and poverty, and there are so many other factors that drive these brothers to do the things that they're doing. Yeah. So let's be clear on that in our points about competition, especially within the culture. It has nothing to do, it is a very small, if any, aid to some of the violence that we're seeing in the community. That comes from a lot of other very serious variables other than competition and versus. I mean, competition is healthy, and we will have a podcast about competition, and because I think that's the way the world works. But getting back to this verses, and another thing that I found really, really, really interesting is, right, and what a lot of people had memes about, Gucci was like, I got on 10,000 worth of jewelry or whatever, and you got on, look what you got on. It was something to that effect. And I was interested by the comments, but I was also very interested in like people's response to it. Yeah. What did you think?
Well, like I said, for one thing, people were saying that was a slight at Jeezy about the whole, killing his homeboy thing. But it also showed a state that we're in mentally that I really can't stand. Like, it's so crazy. It'd be funny to me. But it shows a state we're in mentally, like, well, I'm going to show how much I got. And the Jeezy's comment also was, well, I don't got 10,000 worth of stuff on, but I own over half Atlanta. You feel me? So once again, that was that dope boy that's successful versus drug kingpin mentality right there. That's what I mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. And but people floated at that flashiness, and I'm not mad at it, but I want you to also learn that sometimes wealth doesn't necessarily show. Some of the richest people in the world don't drive like the best cars in the world.
I mean, but then you got to put it into context, right? So like Pimp C on Fuck With Me, I got it. Don't,
yeah.
I think it was Fuck With Me, I got it.
That's why we show our thing. We come from royalty.
Yeah. He was talking his talk, and I'm like,
yeah, he was spitting.
Again, like, we live in a culture where there are all these fine lines.
Yes.
And I think them brothers are good, and I think that's a segue I want to get to. But I want to say, like, there's nothing wrong with Gucci having 10,000 worth of jewelry or 100,000 jewelry, and there's nothing wrong with Jeezy owning half of Atlanta. I think the celebration of verses is that, both them brothers made it in odds that were almost insurmountable. And so that's a big deal. And that alone is to be celebrated. Never mind the music and the hits and the business. Like, all that other stuff is great too. But the fact that they even made it out of some very difficult situations is a testament to their character, and should definitely be celebrated. But I wouldn't.
They should use that to drive them as well. So yeah, we hearing what they're saying, and we know what they've been through. And yeah, I may relate to it, but they also saying like, "Yo, look where I'm at." You feel me? Like, it wouldn't make sense for me to go out with $10,000 worth of jewelry on.
Nah, not for me either.
I can't really afford it.
Even if
It
I
looks
could,
good to some people.
even if I could, that wouldn't be my style.
I
But
mean, it wouldn't be your style, but I'm just saying it doesn't make sense. Like, yo, yeah, I got it, but some of my bills
I'm
need to be late.
gonna debate with you on that because that do make sense, right? If I'm Gucci and I came from all of this shit, and
I'm not talking about, see, once again, you didn't hear what I said. I'm talking about me personally now. Gucci makes sense because he has to do it with.
yeah, I'm talking about even the people that don't. I'm talking about even people that don't. I understand the mentality. It's kind of like when Hov was like, what do you say about the money phone?
Y'all holding money to your ear.
Yep, y'all hold the money to your ear. It's a disconnect. We don't call that money over here. Right? So it's like, again, to Hov, but to the kid that don't got nothing and is confused and just trying to make it, yo, I just made 10 stacks off a move, or I made 5 stacks on them. Yo, I'm gonna hold it to my ear. That's the culture that they grew up in. And I would you elaborate more. Do you see young black brothers? Because I feel like I see it on the internet. I don't live in the South consistently, but I feel like that is culture of the South.
I see it on a regular basis, actually. Like, it was actually, I was speaking on this last night. Like, I mentioned on the podcast once or twice that one of my jobs is I'm a bouncer.
Oh,
and as I pat people down, they have like stacks of money in their pocket. Like, bro, the most expensive thing in this club, like, that you could buy is a bottle, and that's $180. Why do you need, $10,000 worth of money on you? It's really not a safe situation. Like, what if I was a shicey brother that said, my homeboy, sit in the parking lot. As I pat people down, I'm going to find the one. When he leaves, I'm going to give you a signal. Because I know he don't have a weapon on him because I patted him down.
Who cares?
Huh?
Who cares? They didn't even think of like that. It's the fact that I get to be in the club when that I done seen it all comes on, and I get to put that joint to my ear. It's a big
throw money in the air, and
boy, it's culture. It's not, and that's what people don't understand. Like, we're not talking about individual mentality. We are talking about a culture of things. And so, if I remember correctly, when Jay said that, there was like backlash. There was pushback from certain people.
Certain
that were like, no, like, we gonna do what we do because that is culture.
I think Boosie was one of the ones that said that. Like, no, I'm thinking
Future. Yeah. But the point is, like, I think we need to start understanding, even within our culture, there are subcultures.
Absolutely.
And that's not necessarily a negative thing.
Here's my question. I do have a question about that. I don't have. We just said like Boosie and Future. They all said something back.
Word.
They said that back, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to money and wealth, could they sit at a table with Jay and Oprah and Bill Gates? Not saying that them brothers are doing well, so I'm not trying to take that from them.
Yeah.
But could they sit at that table with those type of, like, as far as when money goes?
I don't know. I would say that I don't know that even matters, because who could? Like, what are we talking about? Who could?
The reason I asked that, you saying who could, but it's like, yo, Jay was saying something like, listen, I'm telling you, when we say I'm trying to give you $1 million Gatewood for $9.99.
Yeah, but it ain't, and that's, I love Hov, and the lessons have been, I couldn't thank him enough, but it's, yo, you can't, especially, right? I don't think Hov is totally disconnected, but to a certain extent, bro, you've grown. You've elevated. And I think I heard Hov say that during the Rap Radar process. He was like, yo, I'm not telling you don't do dumb shit.
He's like, I did it. He's like, exactly. I did something like that.
So that's what I'm saying. There's a fine line where I think Hov was saying, like, yo, you're going to do that, but at least maybe during Hov's time, there was nobody to even tell him. Not to say that he wouldn't have done it anyway, because he probably would have. He probably would have did it the exact same way. Maybe it would have been fine, or maybe it wouldn't have. But I think there's something to be said with just having someone there who's done it before to just simply tell you.
Yeah.
And if you want to follow it, follow it. Or if it makes sense to you, it makes sense. Cool, let's move forward. Yeah, and that's what I think we need to continue to do. Is, yo, just tell the young folks. That's why I respect Jeezy.
I was just about to say, I think younger brothers are missing like true OGs. Like, one thing we do a lot, and we speak about a lot, we pay homage to our OGs.
We try
like
to.
That showed us different things, and and I think, and I don't blame the young brothers for not having OGs. I blame people that's supposed to be OGs for the young brothers not having OGs.
If you've been through it and you made it through it and you didn't pay the game forward, you failed.
Yeah, like, yo, like, listen, bro. Like, I chop it up with younger brothers on a regular basis, just about different stuff. Like, one thing they don't get is how I rarely react to stuff. It's like, yo, but sometimes it's not worth it. Like,
Rarely,
if I'm at work and
rarely
you do
is,
certain
rarely
things,
is worth it.
react for what? Like, you can call me what you want. Is that true? No. Are you in my face doing it? No. You might have called me whatever you call me, but you're still walking away. What am I arguing with you for?
For me, I don't. And this is a great point on like discipline, and we could talk about those types of things. But I don't want it. I don't want people to see this and be like, oh well, y'all don't know, because I totally get the necessity to be like, you playing with me, and I need the only response is violence. Like
It's violence.
I understand that. I'm not gonna sit and act like I don't understand that. I understand that. I do understand that. And if you're not of the culture, or you haven't grown up or talked to certain people about their situation, that seems absolutely nuts to you. But I understand. That's why, right? That ties back into the verses. That's why it's such a big deal, because those brothers, maybe 15, 20 years, the club would have got shot up.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing. But even if their situation is solvable and they have growth, I still understand the 19, 18-year-old that's like, no, I'm disrespected and I'm going to meet that with violence.
Right. No,
Because we in our community, we have a tough time dealing with disrespect. We don't do that well.
And I do get it. I swear I do. It's just, like I said, as we grow, we gotta understand, like, because there's gonna be consequences for every action. There's an equal or greater reaction. There's gonna be a consequence. There's gonna be a ripple effect. So what I talk to people about, like, is that ripple effect worth that 1 second of disrespect? Like I said, to me, the ultimate drive is like growing financially, growing as a person. So that's why when I mentioned that earlier, when Jay said that they're 50, like, and mess up the money, even 50 said that was a clicking point to him, like, this is what I'm here for. So now in the street, that's a different thing. Like, a street culture, that's a different thing. But
Exactly. And that's the point I want to make very clear. If you don't understand that subculture of our culture, then none of this is going to make sense to you. The Gucci, none of that, and you're going to just be looking at it confused. If you don't understand that necessary component of, some of these people out here in certain situations and living through certain things, and that's how they approach life, because they are almost forced to do so.
Yeah, and if that's where you are, if you're at that point in life, I swear I would never down you for whatever you got to do to survive and make it. I'll never judge you for that, and actually applaud you for making it actually through it. But when I speak to people like that I work with, like, bro, you not in that environment right now. So don't mess up what you got going here, because you're moving in a positive direction. You're moving in a direction trying to grow.
Yeah, but then
what you got going here.
And Andre 3000 got a great line, right? A dolphin gonna shake his fin whether he's in or out of water, right? Like, you can't go from like, I'm taking penitentiary chances and I can survive.
But you almost have to, right?
My family. No, that is a tough concept to be like.
At what point do that growth kick in? Because we've been talking about growth the whole time.
I don't know. Maybe never. According to Gucci's energy, never. That is never.
Now, according to you and your energy, what is your?
I don't know. I tend to think that it's nothing wrong with staying the same, because the environment played a big part in making you who you are. So I can't put you through hell for 18 years and then put you in heaven and get mad when you slaughter angels.
I like that. I do like that. But I feel at some point you gotta grow and adjust. You can't just be. I can't be the same person I was when I was 18.
Which is, again, easier said. My only point is, I agree with you. Yes, there has to be growth, duh. But it's easy. It's much easier said than done.
Absolutely.
We see it all the time. We see.
I'm not mad at you for being who. I will never be mad at somebody for being who they are, especially because of their circumstance. So I don't judge nobody for that.
But even beyond the circumstance, the culture has a certain allure to it, because we see individuals get out and make it and don't necessarily have to associate with that anymore, but they come back and they still play those games. right? So growth is a very complex ideology and concept. It's not just, oh, I woke up one morning and there I am, bro.
All right, but we say that, and here's my argument to that. We talking about Gucci and Jeezy, or whoever it may be, Jay and Nas.
Facts.
But they still rap about these things, right? They still talk about these things. Sometimes, but is Gucci still out here on the block? Is Jeezy still out here on the block?
I would imagine that they're no longer on the corner of whatever.
Not even just on the corner. They're not even living in the neighborhood no more. They moved on. Now
okay,
they gonna
so
rap
you
about
say that. You say that to say what?
To say it still has to be some level of growth. Like, they're not going in these business meetings like, nah, I'm still on what I was on when I was in the hood. That's what I'm saying. They're not going to meetings like that. Gucci kids is in private, not Gucci, but Jeezy kids is in private school. Like, so you're saying, well, now you got to keep it a certain way, but
I'm not even saying you got to keep it a certain way, but I understand you do what works for you. I've been this way from the start. I found success this way from the start. Okay,
but you don't feel like they changed?
Why? Say it again.
You don't feel like they changed?
Who, Gucci and Jeezy?
Gucci, Jeezy, Jay, Nas.
No, I feel like some people change, but I feel like that's the anomaly, right? Because we're still seeing, right? We look at a young brother, King Von, and RIP King Von, because I kind of just recently got into some of his music, and the brother was immensely talented, and I felt like I really needed to say that, and it kind of just watching the Gucci Jeezy thing and thinking about King Von, and then listening to that, some of his music, especially his latest project, it touched me in a real type of way, because that brother was getting to it. Did he have to be on O Block in Chicago? Like, did he have to be there? Could he have chose to go on and got a nice suburban situation out in Chicago? I mean, I would imagine he had the money at that point.
Yeah, but you know what? That almost is what's going to happen.
So that's what I'm saying. The point of growth, and that everybody's, they're so grown, man. Like, yo, it's not your job as a person who made it out to look back at those who are still figuring out and be like, look at this. This is how you gotta grow now. Like, yo, you don't know what them people going through.
I don't. Well, that's the point that you actually kind of do, because you went through it.
No, absolutely not. And I think if you're going to,
you may not know what they're going through at that moment, but that was your, like, you can't tell me that I can't look at somebody on Belgrave like, yo, I know what you're going through, bro. Like, I've been here.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about taking it a step further. Let's say this then. The way you articulate those sentiments to them needs to be on point.
Agreed.
You couldn't go back and tell them, yo, you don't need to be messing with MS-13.
Nah. See that, and that's what we're gonna agree on.
Like, what you mean they can't? Because their options can be, yo, I'm gonna get down, or it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And so, understanding that, coming from that type of situation, I would never be like, yo, look at the growth. If you're not growing, you like,
I said this. I want to say I said this 3 or 4 times. I'll never knock you for doing what you're doing in your environment.
And I respect, you have to, we can, yes, the culture pushing it forward, we can do better and encouraging. I think my major point is how that is done and how you connect with individuals that may have been in a similar situation to yours coming up is important. And it's on you, the person who made it out, to articulate those things correctly so that they can feel it and see the picture clearly.
Yeah, teach a man to fish, right? How the old saying go?
Yeah. That is anything else? What else from the verses that was like deep to you?
From the verse, like I said, the way they ended it, I love that. I agree. I love the way they ended it. I love the way they like I said, I love but I enjoy the celebration of the verses. Like I said, I've been watching verses from the beginning of it, and like the verses didn't just start with Jeezy and Gucci. Neo and John Taylor.
They broke records though.
They definitely broke records.
Big verses. So shout out to verses. This was big for them, man. Tim and Swiss, that's dope, man. Y'all keep doing y'all thing. Keep putting on for the people.
Who would you like? We're gonna wrap it up on this. Who would you like to see on the verses?
That's a good one. That is a good one. I mean, the Hove and anybody like.
That's the IV. Yeah.
Y'all we could do the Bay edition, Hove versus B. That would be interesting for
That'd
me
be
to see.
fire.
We could do the Bay edition, Hove versus B.
Fire.
That's
I
fair.
hear a lot of people saying, "Well, nobody will go on the verses with Eminem." I'm not Eminem, but Lil Wayne. But I could beg to differ. A lot of people could go.
I think I seen it's a fake flyer. Maybe it's not a fake flyer. I seen a flyer for T.I. versus Lil Wayne. I think that would be dope.
That'd be interesting. But I want it to be something like some people completely opposite of each other.
That's why I think Hove and B has that extra component too, because there's
extra component. But like something like a Lil Wayne, because Lil Wayne like is the South and all that, New Orleans, versus somebody like a Busta Rhymes up north, like that just got a big catalog. You know, something just like, and that's why I like what they were trying to do with a lot of different verses. Like, yo, that don't make sense, but it does in a crazy way.
Yeah, I like to just keep it interesting, man. And the number one thing, just keep pushing the culture forward. Like I have my few people I would want to see, or my little things I would want to see. Like I would love a that early 2000s R&B crowd to kind of come out. Like I know Trey Songz was talking about like he wouldn't want to do one, and you know I respect that brother's decision. It's his work and his art. But I would love to see Trey Songz do it. I'm an R&B cat though. So
I was saying, yeah, like the Lil Wayne versus Busta. Like the J&B would be a good one. That'd be an interesting one to see. Like
and easy, and I feel like it would be easy to do. They live in the same crib.
Yeah, they live in the same crib. It should be pretty easy to do. Like I said, everybody wanted to see Busta versus Missy, and they wouldn't do it against each other.
Missy, I'll take a Missy versus because she got.
But she don't want to do it. Like I remember, I was reading the comments and she don't want to do it.
She not in there. And I do want to say like I respect artists who don't want to get into the like that's fine. Like I think everybody's time needs to be respected, and I think that needs to be said and echoed more. Like it's not a slight or those artists shouldn't be celebrated. Like if they don't want to get down in the moment, they don't have to get down. This is not.
It was kind of cool watching, like I said, I watched the Swiss and Tim live after all the time.
I did as well.
And they was talking one time. I forgot who went, and they was talking after, and like Tim was like, "Yo, Missy, you got to do it," and Swiss was like, "I'm like, well, nah, you don't have to do it, but we would love to have you to do it." But so it makes that he was making it clear that like, yo, nah, like we want you to do it, but you know, being at a celebration, you don't have to partake.
Respect, and that's cool, man. And I love Tim and Swiss. When we talk about growth, just seeing where they've come from and their careers is amazing. I appreciate them for kind of putting this on for the culture.
Sometimes you don't realize how long people been around. By the way, there's certain songs you can play in the verses. Like let's just be real. There's certain songs you can play in the verses it's just cheating. Like I'm gonna give you like when Tim and Swiss first when Tim and Swiss first did their verses.
They both got
you playing Aaliyah, like a song you produced for Aaliyah, like come on, bro.
That's too much.
Like,
I agree. Like it was Jeezy played. What he played? Seen It All?
Yeah, like you got a whole feature, bro. Like what you like? That's
I was like, nah, that's so
what can I do with a whole feature? That's like a unicorn, bro.
That's a tough one. That's a tough. I mean, that's where the coolness of the whole thing and the matchups and maybe if it was Jeezy and Ross got whole feet. You know what I'm saying? That's the cool vibe to it all. But again, it's all in celebration. And I think that's cool. We should definitely keep it forward. Let's keep it positive. Let's keep it also competitive because to a certain extent, I think that element is cool.
What's been your favorite verses so far?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good question. My favorite verses so far, and I've seen them all pretty much. I gotta go with that one you was talking about. You know which one was my favorite one.
Neo?
Yeah, that's
as such a big Neo fan, we have to say like Jonte did his thing.
I think that brother is so low key that people didn't even know he did with a lot of stuff that he did.
Yeah, it was just like he was playing something like, yo, who is this guy?
Yeah, if you're not R&B, you might have missed it. But I mean, I knew a lot. I knew of the brother, and obviously I knew of me. So I would say for me, that was my favorite one.
That's your favorite?
And just them two people.
One of the most entertaining and most hype ones to me. Well, it's really two. because they were both close. Lil Jon and T-Pain.
That was a good one too.
Remember, I was one of the weirdos in New York that loved that crunk, type energy. Like, this is what you listening to? Yeah, I was big on Scrappy and Lil Jon, the East Side Boys in New York, and they're just like, yo, that's your energy?
Yeah,
like,
you was that quote unquote weirdo. You was that quote unquote.
Yeah, like that was my energy in New York at a young age, and I enjoyed the Nelly and Luda. That was a big one for the culture to me.
That was a good one too. That was a good one. All right, so like we talk verses. Let's wrap this thing up. Gucci and Jeezy, right? I think there are lessons there, and I think some people are stretching certain things and reaching on certain things. But give me your biggest lesson. Biggest lesson you got from the Gucci Jeezy thing.
Man, my biggest lesson from the Gucci Jeezy thing is like what I talked about earlier. Like, I'm so big on growing. Like, I don't knock you doing what you got to do to survive, but also look to grow from what you're doing. Like, look for an end game. So if you have to be on the block selling whatever you're selling, cool, but know there has to be an end goal to it. Like, drug dealers back in the day used to sell till they opened up something as simple as a cleaners, and that grew from that, blah, 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 blah. So keep looking to grow, keep looking to be better. Don't just get satisfied where you are. Like, and I think we all have, and even if you take it from the street culture to the 9-to-5 culture, we have a tendency to get complacent where we are. Me personally, I've done that myself personally. But so we gotta get out of that mindset of, well, I'm just here and I'm good because I'm better than I was, yesterday. I'm not looking to 3 years from now. So we gotta that was my biggest lesson, the growth in that. What you got for me?
I would say my biggest lesson is coming together with people that you don't like for the greater good of getting to your bag. And I think that if I could take anything, one single thing from this verses is, number one, I want to say I think the energy is real because they have real street issues, and there were things in the past that really happened and they want to address. But Jeezy dropped the album the next day. The album is fire. I was going to listen to it anyway, but it's brilliant marketing. I've seen Gucci put out several different things via Tidal. Shout out to Tidal. And projects and songs that weren't out on Tidal before. So the lesson is, hey man, I don't necessarily have to love you to come to handle my business. And that's kind of like been my mantra. I've been telling a lot of my mentees lately, and it kind of is perfectly on point because handle your business. Like, it ain't about, and you don't gotta have this emotional, I like this person, I can't. Like, nah, man, get together with the individuals that can help you provide for your family. And again, the overtone is, again, push the culture forward. This was bigger than them, and shout out to Jeezy for seeing that. Shout out to Gucci for receiving that olive branch that was bigger than them. And yeah, they showed mental health and the healing, and we could talk about all that stuff. But just on a simple level, like, yo, we're going to come together and show people, like, yo, I could have a real problem with you 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, but we could come together and push the culture forward together. Because regardless of whether we want to be or not, we are of the same culture. And I think that's always important to remember.
Respect it wholeheartedly.
And on that note, this podcast is all done. There it is. Yo, appreciate y'all, man. We're going to see you next week. We out of here.